Imagine the closing days of World War II, with victory in sight but the immense challenge of shaping a new peace still ahead. World leaders gathered to decide the fate of nations, grappling with complex geopolitical realities. Among the most contentious issues was the future of Poland, a country that had suffered tremendously. The Yalta Agreement on Poland's government, reached in February 1945, established a provisional government of national unity. This government was to be formed from the existing, Soviet-backed provisional government of the Republic of Poland, also known as the Lublin Committee, but, crucially, it would include democratic leaders from within Poland and from Poles abroad. The agreement also explicitly pledged that free and unfettered elections would be held as soon as possible. This outcome stemmed from deeply divergent interests among the big three leaders: Franklin Delano Roosevelt of the United States, Winston Churchill of the United Kingdom, and Joseph Stalin of the Soviet Union. Poland held immense strategic significance for Stalin, who viewed it as a vital buffer zone against future Western aggression. With the Soviet Red Army already occupying Poland, Stalin effectively held the strongest hand, having installed the Lublin Committee as the de facto governing body. Conversely, the Western Allies championed the principle of self-determination and recognized the London-based Polish government in exile, which represented the pre-war democratic leadership. The Yalta talks were a delicate balancing act, attempting to reconcile these opposing visions for Poland's sovereignty and political alignment. The immediate impact saw the formation of the Provisional Government of National Unity, bringing some non-communist Polish leaders into the fold. However, the dominant influence of the Soviet Union remained undeniable. The agreement also confirmed Poland's new eastern border along the Curzon Line, effectively ceding significant pre-war Polish territory to the Soviet Union. In return, Poland was granted territorial compensation in the west from former German lands. This arrangement, while seemingly a compromise, underscored the geopolitical realities of the moment, with the Soviet Union expanding its sphere of influence. An important element of the Yalta Agreement, beyond Poland, was the Declaration on Liberated Europe. This declaration affirmed the right of all peoples to choose the form of government under which they will live. However, for Poland, the implementation of this declaration proved to be largely symbolic, as the promised free elections, when they eventually occurred, were heavily influenced and manipulated by the communist forces, consolidating Soviet control. This outcome highlights the inherent tension between the wartime alliance and the nascent ideological divides that would soon define the Cold War. Ultimately, the Yalta Agreement on Poland's government marked a pivotal, if controversial, moment in post-war history. It demonstrated the limits of Western influence in areas under Soviet military occupation and laid the groundwork for Poland's for decades under communist rule. Understanding this agreement helps illuminate the complex interplay of power, strategy, and ideology that reshaped the European continent and set the stage for the coming Cold War.
If history fascinates you, like, subscribe, and explore more with us.